With Lewis Hamilton's future uncertain, all eyes are now on George Russell, the only confirmed Mercedes driver. Drivers are returning to work on the simulator to develop the new cars and prepare for a fresh challenge with less than a month until the first testing in Barcelona. Russell is doing the same, shaking off the rust and hopping into the Mercedes sim to get ready for 2022. So let's take a look at Russell's first few days at Mercedes, as well as his expectations for the season. Russell established himself as one of the sport's most promising young talents during his 3-year tenure with Williams, which began in 2019. Last season, he won a lot of fans with a series of outstanding performances, the best of which was a spectacular podium finish in Belgium after qualifying on the front row. Another highlight was his debut with the Silver Arrows when he took over for Lewis Hamilton at the 2020 Sakir Grand Prix after the Brit tested positive for COVID. George Russell put in one of the best drives of his F1 career, only to have victory snatched away from him through no fault of his own. It goes without saying that Russell is a phenomenal driver who will almost certainly be a title contender if the Mercedes car lives up to the standards set by their 8 Constructors' Championship streak. George Russell completed his first official day as a Mercedes driver earlier this week after spending time getting to grips with their simulator. He's been with the Silver Arrows as a junior driver since 2017, and he's been getting to know the setup at the team's Brackley headquarters as he prepares for the challenge ahead. He announced on social media last Sunday that he had begun his first official day as a full-time racer for the German team. Today was my first official day in Brackley as a Mercedes driver. I can't wait to get started, obviously. I went around, met so many people today, went on the simulator and just prepared as best as possible to kickstart. Meanwhile, it's unclear whether Russell will eventually team up with Hamilton at Mercedes, given the ongoing speculation about the 7-time champion's immediate future in the sport. Hamilton is said to be awaiting the outcome of the FIA's investigation into the Abu Dhabi finale before deciding whether to go for a record-breaking 8th Drivers' Championship victory this year. Damon Hill, a champion in his own right, recently stated that Hamilton will be unable to resist the temptation of returning to the grid, implying that he's highly unlikely to leave F1 despite his grievances with those in charge. Lewis has already won 7 titles. It's a bit different. He might just think, I've done all I can do. But I'm sure that 8th title is just too tempting. I'm sure he'll want to come back and have it and put all this to rest. I think Lewis Hamilton fans feel very aggrieved because the way the decision went disadvantaged them and they felt robbed. There's a lot of ill feeling. In the Dutch camp, they're happy with the result, but was it a satisfactory way of deciding a championship? You have to say, it was unsatisfactory. If Hamilton decides to race, the pair will form an all-British team at the German team in 2022. Going up against the 36-year-old will be a daunting task for Russell, whose only teammates in F1 have been Robert Kubica and Nicholas Latifi. Surprisingly, he sees no need to study Hamilton's driving ahead of the season, as he believes one of his compatriots' main strengths is his adaptability. No, there won't be any studying of Lewis. That's because the reason that makes him so great is because of his adapting to situations. Another reason he believes there isn't much point in doing so is the car will be completely different from the ones Hamilton has driven in the past, due to widespread regulatory changes. We got a brand new car. Nobody knows the best way to drive that car. I'm sure a Mercedes 2022 car will be different to a Mercedes 2021 car, and compared to a Red Bull as well, and a Ferrari and a McLaren, they're all going to have their little quirks about them. Given how impressive he was during his 3 years at Williams, many expect Russell to be more than a match for Hamilton in their first season together. His former team's head of performance, Dave Robson, believes there is still room for improvement, but that the 23-year-old is already on par with Hamilton and Jenson Button, the 2 most recent British world champions. There is no doubt he still has more to learn because working at Mercedes is a different story than with us, but when it comes to his style and attitude, he's absolutely no less than Hamilton and Button. His work ethic and the way he brings the team together, along with his skills and his confidence in making decisions, those are the real key factors. Another factor to consider is Hamilton and Russell's age difference. If Russell can maintain his current form at the age of 23, there is no doubt that he is Mercedes' future. And if history is any guide, Mercedes will be patient with Russell, as despite mounting pressure to replace their previous driver in recent seasons, Mercedes has remained loyal to Bottas, extending his contracts year after year. Russell recently addressed this fact, expressing his hope that Mercedes will show him the same loyalty. What I admire so much from Mercedes and Toto is how loyal they are to their own. Valtteri has been such a key figure and key driver for them to help them achieve all these championships along the way. There's a lot of people who can say negative things or being off the pace of Lewis Hamilton, but he's been an incredibly important part of all that success, and they want to reward that loyalty. And maybe if he went through one or two bad races throughout last year, they're not going to get the axe out and say, "Thank you very much and see you later." Because that's not how they do things. They give people the full opportunity and the full chance. I'm a 23-year-old. From their side, there's no need to rush. We've got the whole future ahead. Russell joined the Mercedes Junior program in 2017, capturing the attention of Mercedes Motorsport boss Toto Wolff with a PowerPoint presentation. After making his Formula One debut in 2019 and being assigned to Williams by Mercedes, the driver hopes that 2022 is the beginning of his time with the works team. I guess that loyalty brings faith to me as a driver, equally to the 2,000 employees that Mercedes have between Brackley and Brixworth. If I work hard and I perform, they are going to reward me with that loyalty, and I don't have to have any concerns about my job or my future. You probably go ahead and perform even better. So I guess that's what I really admire from those guys, and they certainly do things quite different to other teams down the grid, so I've got to be very grateful and thankful to have Toto as my boss, I'm sure. That loyalty that he's shown Valtteri, if I perform, he'll show to me and everyone else in the team when they do a good job. With Valtteri Bottas leaving Mercedes for Alfa Romeo, Mercedes finally decided it was time to pull the trigger at the end of the 2021 season. However, the Englishman has not always been open to what Wolff has to offer, recalling a time in the European F3 when he chose to go a different direction. "I was already having conversations with Toto and Mercedes prior to joining Carlin and Volkswagen. I actually had a deal on the table to have almost the same backing from Mercedes as I had from Volkswagen, but because there wasn't an opportunity open at Prema, the next team I would have had to join would be a German team called Muka Motorsport, who I felt, for my first season at F3, wouldn't be as well suited to me as a British team called Carlin. So after my meeting with Toto at the start of 2015, I sent him an email just to say, I really appreciate the meeting and thanks for all your advice, etc. Just to let you know, I'll actually be joining Carlin and Volkswagen as opposed to Muka Motorsport and Mercedes because I believe it's better for my career. And I had the opinion that if I went out and did a good job, Mercedes would still be interested. So he replied back, I think you're making a wrong decision, but let's stay in touch and let's see where we go from there. But as we all know, despite their initial disagreement, the pair would not have to wait long before rekindling their professional relationship. Russell is set to take up a highly sought-after seat for the upcoming season, but it remains to be seen if he can live up to the hype he left behind after some of his performances in Williams. Nothing has been heard from his potential teammate, and Mercedes will undoubtedly be in a quandary if the seven-time champion does not return. But one thing is certain, all eyes will be on Russell in 2022, and the youngster will need to impress if he's to compete with his compatriots' results. Thank you for your consideration. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and remember to click the bell button to be notified of future videos. Please share your thoughts in the section below. Will Russell be a title contender this season? Should Lewis return, and will he see Russell as a challenge? Do you believe George Russell is Mercedes' future? We'd love to hear what you think.